Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So there was a request if I wouldn't mind showing my Lisbon cardigan process. So this is sort of a sew along, if you will. I'll just kind of show any adjustments that I've made, kind of how I made them, and we'll go from there. Now, I am making 3 Lisbon cardigans this month: black, navy blue, and the burgundy. So they're all kind of dark colored. So I'll try my best to kind of show different things. But the first thing I wanted to show are the adjustments I had to make. So I always make the typical bust, waist, and hip adjustments. And so let me just show you for the camera is losing its focus. So let me just show you. I had to make adjustments for the bust, waist, and hips. And so these are my measurements: the 52, 45, 57, and my arm is 18. The circumference of my arm, the bicep part, is 18. And these are the measurements for the cardigan. And so the difference, and then the difference divided by 4, and these are the adjustments I needed to make. So 1 inch on the bust, 1.25 on the waist, and 1.75 on the hip, and 1 inch for the arm. And so I will leave again below the method that I follow, which is Nancy Zeman, the pivot method. And because there are no darts, it's very easy to use the pivot method. Let me see if I can get this to focus. It's very easy to use the pivot method for this particular pattern. So this is the, I think this is the back. Yes, this is the back. And so I just pivoted out 1.25, the waist, and all the way down to the hip, 1.75. And so I'll just link the videos, because I showed this in the sew over it Eve dress as well, kind of how I did my pivot and slide. And so I did that for the front and back. There's the front over there, same thing. I also did it, let me show you my arm. So I pivot out. So when you pivot, you put your pin there, and then you slide the pattern over, and it went out the 1 inch, and then you pivot back over so it goes back into and even with the original cutting line. So that is what I did, and transferred all my notches over. So yeah, this is the black is being laid out, and I will come back in when I have the burgundy, and the navy blue is all done. Okay, so you saw me just talk about the adjustments that was made for the cardigan. Please check the link above. I will link the video from the sew over it Eve dress, where I showed how I made the adjustment for my bust, waist, and hip on the Eve dress. So check that link, and you'll be able to see a little bit more detail how I did it. But I have 3 cardigans, 3 Lisbons. It will be a burgundy, black, and then this navy blue. Everything has been marked, notches clipped, everything marked. So what I'm going to do, I've decided I will show the burgundy, because the black you'll barely be able to see, because I'll be using black thread, and I don't think the navy blue you'll be able to see as well. So I will come back in when I am working on the burgundy one. So get your instructions out. I will not do step 1, which is applying the interfacing. That's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just start picking up at step number 2, and we will go from there. So let's get our cardigans going. All right, everybody, we'll see you in the next part. Okay, so I am showing you I have finished the black and the navy blue. And so I just want to show you that I have finished these 2, and want to show you a couple things as I get ready to go through the process if I forget to mention them. So I might repeat myself later on that you want to consider. So the first thing is you will see here, for me, it looks like, you know, the sleeve is more gathered there instead of smoothly laid in there. And that is because I did not trim down to the end of the pattern like I should have when I made my adjustment. And I'll show you what I mean after that. Another thing that I did, if I don't forget to mention, all the sweaters, I will be doing this edge stitching here to lay down the inside seam. So, and I think in the instructions it only talks about doing the top, but I just did everything, even around the band, if you can see that. Let's see here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in these dark colors, but you can see it in this black where I edge stitch. And this, I'll talk about this at the end when I try it on, but this material, this fabric, didn't have as much stretch both ways as I thought it did. And this is almost like a little jacket. But anyway, let me pause right here and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is the pattern piece for the sleeve. And so I had to make an adjustment. The pattern measures, as you can see here, 16 inches, but the largest part, the bicep area of my arm is 18. So I went out, measured out, and did the pivot method as I explained in the beginning of the video. However, the reason I had that excess too much at the bottom where the cuff meets is I didn't come back in towards the bottom. So I could have, you know, just graded back in where the end meets down here. So just keep that in mind. I always forget to do that because one of the thing is also take the measurement of your wrist, and then you can take the measurement of the bottom piece of the cuff and of the sleeve to see if you need to expand this. And I typically don't. I have smaller wrists, and so for when I make adjustments for sleeves, I'm supposed to always remember, okay, come back in at the bottom, but I always forget. But that's okay. And so these are my pearls. We got the navy blue there. We got the black and the garnet. So once I have the other snaps in, I will show you those finished and completed, and then just show you how to use the snap setter on the last one. Okay, Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. Like I said, I have already done step number 1, step number 2. Very easy. Add your fusible stay tape on the shoulder seams, and then put right sides together, the front pieces together, and then serge, zigzag stitch or across here. And so I have my pieces laid out, and as I mentioned in the previous video in my Sew Over It Eve Dress Sew Along, I use the brand Sew Keys stay tape. And so I have a knit stay tape, and so this is the Emma Seabrook. And so this is where you can find it, emmaseabrook.com. That is where you can find the stay tape. And so that is what I am getting ready to do, both steps 2 and 3, and put my front and back pieces together. Okay, so a couple points real quick before I put my shoulder seams together. Depending on the drape of your knit, you will use pins, you know, to hold your shoulders or seams together. Because this is a drapier knit, this is that French terry, I'm using Wonder Clips because it keeps the fabric from sliding back and forth. And I'm actually just going to serge my seams. I do have, let me just show you, I do have my sewing machine set up on my zigzag stitch, which is this. Let's see, yeah. And I have the, oh, you can't really see it there, but the length of the stitch. So when I do use a sewing machine, I will be using a zigzag, you know, that zigzag stitch. So just a quick point. And another thing, if you are ironing, and you need to iron your seams and different things like that. Another tip, especially for drapey knits like this, don't iron, don't push the iron back and forth. What has happened to me is when I'm ironing and I actually iron back and forth, it stretches the fabric. And so instead I just set the iron down, lift it up, move it over, set it down, lift it up, move it over, set it down, instead of going back and forth, which drags the fabric. So I am going to go ahead and serge my shoulder seams, and we will get to step 4. Okay, so though that is done, we are now going to move to the next 2 steps, 4 and 5. Go ahead and take your neckband piece, fold it in half with the wrong sides together and press, and also go ahead and pin the neckband to the outside edges, the raw edges meeting the center back and notches, and I will come back in once I have everything pinned together. Okay, so I have mine pinned and wonder clipped together. So I pinned at the notch area. So the notch area is supposed to line up with that shoulder seam on both sides. So that's where I put the pin, because it's thick right there with that shoulder seam already there. And so I just went ahead and used wonder clips in between all the way to the end. And so as I stretch as I go, and I'm using one hand here, but if I were to stretch as I go, it would just meet perfectly there, which is what you want. So take your time and clipping, or if you have a thicker, like a Ponte or something, you can use pins. But like I said, this French Terry, I'm using these wonder clips. And so what I am getting ready to do is go over to the serger and go ahead and put this together. I just wanted to mention, and sorry, you might hear my neighbor is getting his grass done right now, so hopefully you can hear me. Okay, which reminds me, we need to call our lawn guy too. But anyway, I believe I mentioned it in the other cardigans that are complete, but for each area where the seam where I've serged, or if you use a zigzag stitch or whatever the case may be, I am going to edge stitch that down so it lays flat and won't roll up on me. So another thing is I use stabilizer. Now this is for embroidery, and so what I do is to keep from, I'm already using a ballpoint needle. I am using a ballpoint needle. I'm on my zigzag stitch, and the width of the stitch, everything, all of that is set. But sometimes I might still run into issues where maybe a drapier knit like this still would get chewed up into the feed dogs there and into the machine. And so what I will do is just use my embroidery stabilizer, and that works perfect, no issue whatsoever. And so that is what I have underneath here. I will put that at the beginning and at the end of the stitch, so it can be continuous and I can back stitch very easily. So that is what I am getting ready to do, and then we will move on to steps 6 and 7. Okay, so that is done. I have my went ahead and did an edge stitch there to keep that from rolling up, and you can't tell from this angle, but I changed my thread 3 times because I have 3 different burgundies, at least that I thought was kind of a burgundy that would match this, and neither one of them did. And I didn't want to do black, but this one seemed like it was fine. But anyway, sidebar, go outside if you need to in some natural light to make sure that your thread matches or comes very close to your garment. But anyway, so we are going to move on to steps 6 and step 7. Now the note that I wrote here is that once you have attached your sleeve and you've pressed it, press the sleeve, press the seam allowance toward the sleeve for both sleeves, you could go ahead and serge all of your edges prior to doing this section. So you don't have to do this. I only did this, I want to say, on the black one because it was so thick. I didn't want the whole seam serged together because then it would create some bulk. So I individually serged all the sides first, and then I just sewed everything together. But because this is a drapier knit, I am just going to serge once I attach the sleeve, and this is a flat attach the sleeve. I will then, after that, come in and just serge all the way around. So once I get my sleeve all wonder clipped together, before I serge it, I'll come in and show you. And then after that, I will move on to serging the sides together. Okay, so I have all of my sleeve here using my wonder clips attached to the bodice, to the front and back here. And make sure your notches are lined up. And I tend to put a clip over my notch, so I know that the notches are lined up. So that's just how I do it, and make sure that the notch that was in the shoulder seam matches, the point of the sleeve matches there. And I put my clip over the notch, so I know I did match those up. And then I make sure everything in between matches up nicely. And it does. So, okay, I am going to go ahead and stitch around the sleeve and stitch around the bodice. So this is steps 6 and 7. Okay, my sleeves are in. Both sleeves are in. And what I can tell you already, this would probably be my favorite one out of the 3, just because this French terry, this is my first time working with French terry, though the ends do roll. So that's why I use my wonder clips, but it is so soft. And this is obviously the inside. So let's move on. We are going to go ahead and do steps 8 and 9. And so fold your bottom band piece in half lengthwise with the wrong sides together. We are getting close to the end. And go ahead and attach the folded band at the bottom of the bodice piece there. So, and then we'll move on to step 10 after that. So go ahead and do those 2 steps, and I will show you mine all wonder clip together, and I will serge that in. Okay, I just want to come back in real quick just to emphasize why I use the wonder clips. So I got the bottom band on. Everything matches up perfectly. And another reason why I emphasize do not iron, press, because if I was ironing this, as you flip it over and you iron it, those sides together prior to attaching, it would have stretched. This is a stretchy material. See how that French terry rolls up on the end? So I have to be very careful when I'm clipping the ends together. But again, if I pressed all of this, this would have been stretched all out. But nope, perfect. And this is what I want to just come in and show, that it perfectly lines up the band with the bodice piece. So I am going to serge all of this together, and I will be back for the next 2 steps. Okay, now we are moving on to steps 10 and 11. So you go ahead, that first piece from step number 1, you already have your interface on it, and you're just stitching across or serging across. I decided to stitch across, and then I cut the end off, and once I turn it inside out, I'm going to use that purple thing. Many people probably already know what this is, that purple thing, to make sure that pointed edge is out. And then I will go ahead and attach to the front, and I'm going to serge it on for both sides. And so I'll be back when everything is wonder clipped together. Okay, so I was able to use pins because of the interface and didn't have to worry about it rolling. But go ahead and attach that fold front band, whatever piece you use, 8 or 9, fold it lengthwise, stitch those ends together, turn it inside out. And so the facing piece goes up against the right side of the fabric. So this is right sides facing. Make sure that facing piece is on the bottom, not on the top, but on the bottom. Want to make sure I show that. And go ahead on. I'm going to serge these pieces together for both sides. And I will be back with step 12 and 13, which is the cuff. Okay, we are at steps 12 and 13. So I have already serged the edge of my cuff, turned it inside out. I've marked all the quarter points and on the cuff as well as on the sleeve, except for the seams. The seams are just lined up. And I will match up my pins and I will go ahead and sew. And we will be at the end and it'll be time to do some snaps. Okay, we are now at step 15 and 16, which are buttons. And as you know, I am not doing buttons. Everything is on, cuffs complete, bands on. Love it, love it, love it. This is so soft. This French Terry is so soft. And as you can tell from the markings from the pattern pieces, here's where the buttons were going to go. But I am not going to follow that. I am actually going to try it on and mark on me based on the bra that I wear and all that stuff where my snaps will go. And I would have done that for, excuse me, for the buttons as well. Just because not all the time the button placements on the pattern is just the exact where it needs to fall on me. I might need to move things around just slightly, but here is the snap. Isn't that pretty? The light got it off a little bit. Looks more red. It looks perfect on this side, but it looks more red because I'm right by the window. And so what I'm going to do is I'm doing the snaps in a kind of assembly style. I waited to the end to do snaps on all of them. And so I have scrap for all of my cardigans. And if you're doing snaps, I highly suggest this. I am going to practice doing the snaps on some scrap first. And then I will do the snaps on here. And I'll show you on this one how to attach the snaps, and we will truly be done. Okay, so we have some snaps, almost. Okay, so the black is done. As you can see, the snaps are in, and my next clip will be me wearing them and my final thoughts on everything, the pattern and all that good stuff. But just want to show you the snaps are in. Very nice. They look really nice. Here's the navy blue one. You can see that. Looks wrinkly, but yep. Navy blue snaps are in, pearl snaps. And then we have our burgundy one. And let me just show you. You saw how the snaps looked on the other two. Well, I had an issue with this last one because I put the snaps on the wrong side. The pearls should be on this side. And when I did the first couple snaps, I noticed I put them in on the wrong side. So I popped them out and I thought I flipped it over. I looked and then I said, okay, good, this is the right side. And I went and did the entire row. And when I picked it up, because I was going to line this side up and, you know, match so I can mark them and everything, and realize all the snaps are on the wrong side. Nobody will ever see this. And so I am going to have to do this one over. And let me just show you. I'm going to try to show you in this light. But if you can see, the prongs on here are all bent. And these are my burgundy ones. I only ordered a 10 pack. And so, yeah, you can see that. So when I messed up and had to pull snaps out, you can't reuse the prongs. Now, if one of the prongs is slightly bent, you can reuse it because I have done that on a couple. But because I put in all the snaps, all the prongs are bent in the proper direction. Once I pop them out, they'll be really disjointed like this, and I will not be able to reuse them. So I am going to have to reorder the garnet pack of snaps, and I will do a separate video on the snap setter tool. What I will say, huge learning curve using this thing. And you see how this is together? I would say when you need to use this, the tools you should have, obviously, is your snap setter tool. And if you're doing the pearl, get the pearl adapter. You'll have to get the pearl adapter because it pops up on the website when you order pearl snaps. This will pop up that you need it in order to do the snaps, and you, of course, you do. But have you a flathead screwdriver so you can undo a snap if you need to. And once you hammer all of this down, because you can use a household hammer, you have to pull these apart, and it is really hard to just pull these apart. So I just use this here flathead and to get in between and pull these out, pull these apart. Get your marking pencils, your marking utensils rather, whatever you decide to use. I used all three of these. And I used tracing paper. It just, you know, I was just playing around to see what would be different, how to do it. Yes, let me tell you, this snap tool was a learning curve. This is an entirely new day, and so I spent, you know, a couple hours playing with this, looking at YouTube videos, and yeah, and the directions are fine, but there's nothing like visually seeing somebody use it. So what I am going to do, once I get the new snaps, the replacement snaps in the mail, I will just do a separate video on using this tool and showing putting a couple snaps into this cardigan. So that is it. Sorry everybody, couldn't show you. And let me also show you. Can you see this snap? All my snaps didn't go in perfect. See that little prong sticking out? That shouldn't be. They should all look nice and smooth like this. Not like this, where you have a prong sticking out. Which means if it's stable everywhere else, you might be able to get away with it. But really, you should just use your flathead, get that out, and redo them. But you need to make sure you have enough snaps to do that, and I did not. So in my next clip will be try on and my final review of the cardigan, and yeah, that'll be it. So stay tuned. Okay, closing out this very long video. Hope you enjoyed this so long. If you do try it, please let me know. Links for everything I talked about, how I did the adjustments for the bust, waist, and hip, how and what else? Oh, and also where to get the pattern. Everything will be down below, so make sure you click on the description box down below and you'll see everything. But this is just a try on of everything and my final thoughts on the pattern. Let me see if I can back up. Yeah, you can see I chose the view with the waist that hits the waist. I do like that it hits the waist area, as you can see. And this is the one that I'll have to do the snaps over. As you can see, that is on the inside. Oops. And yeah, not gonna work. So it fits beautifully. The adjustment I made was perfect. And I'll show that in the other ones as well. And this here is more of like a quarter length sleeve, and I do like doing this with my cardigans, so they don't need to go all the way necessarily down to my wrist. It just depends on the style of cardigan. And this one, I like the way it hits. And I must tell you again, this fabric I bought from you saw in my haul, my previous video, I bought this from Girl Charlie, and this is the French terry. And when I say this is so soft, it is so soft. So let me switch into the next one and I'll be right back. And here's the navy blue one here. Again, I don't think I turned around on the other one, but as you can see, hits the waist. I love where it hits. This type of cardigan, I love that it's just perfectly waist length, and as you can tell, I have my navy blue snaps on. Everything snapped up and unsnapped beautifully. I'm just gonna pop a couple snaps together just so you can kind of see how it would lay. So if I snapped it all the way down, there's no stretching or anything across the bust area. I absolutely love it. And for the most part, I will probably wear it open anyway. I can't see me necessarily snapping it up, but I like that there is an option too, just depending on the type of blouse or I'll wear underneath. I might want to close a couple snaps. Again, the pattern, how long it took me to make the pattern was a little long because I was trying to record for the final one, but the black, for this one, it took me, the navy blue took me about 3 hours. The first one I'll try on next. The black one took 4.5 because it was my first one. I was taking my time. And as I said before, the black one did not have a lot of stretch. So I just wanted to make sure that I got through it okay. So let me try on the black one. Yeah. Oh, here's the other thing. Notice the contrasting navy blue. So I had to go to the fabric store and get more navy blue knit. Well, they didn't have the type of Ponte knit that I had originally bought, which I bought in Arizona, and so I just did the back in the Ponte and did the rest in the knit that I found at Joann Fabrics here. So this fabric came from Joann Fabrics here on the ground locally. So okay, let me change into the final one. Okay, so this is the final one, which is the first one I did, but the final one I'll be showing again all the crop length. Love this one as well. I told you about the adjustment I would have made with the sleeve somewhere in the video, so go back to that, but I love it. Now the difference with this is a knit, and as you can see, kind of has look like embossed raised design on it. So pretty. And I want to call it a double Ponte for whatever reason. I don't know if it is because I forgot to take a picture. It is a knit, but it's a thicker knit where this almost feels like I can wear it as a jacket outside. It's not as thin as the other knits. So yeah, it'll get double duty. If I need to wear something quick out, I'll throw this on over, or I'll wear it with something, a dress or whatever, which I plan to wear this with a dress anyway. So yeah, I absolutely love this pattern. Very easy. Like I said, I think for me, I'm not a fast sewer, so 4 hours, 4.5 hours to make a cardigan is probably long for a lot of people. But me, I'm not a fast sewer. So that is basically it. I don't have any other thoughts on the pattern. You saw me go through everything, so I really don't have anything else to add. I gave whatever tips I was thinking about during the sew along, so go back and check that out. And so yeah, that's basically it. Again, check the description box below for a link to where you can find this pattern. The fabric, I will leave a link to, if Girl Charlie still has the wine French Terry, I'll leave the link. If you don't see the link below, they no longer have it. So, and the other two I bought on the ground here at Joann Fabrics. So this black and the navy blue. So yeah, so let me know what you think. If you sewed it up, how did you like it? Any thoughts, anything you want to share maybe with other people who might watch the video, leave it in the comments below. And again, and this is going up on Christmas Eve, so even though I've recorded a couple days before, but enjoy, have a blessed Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.